Ep.6, The Haunting Investigation, A Dark Past and the Ghosts in the Cursed House.
Hannah couldn't sleep the entire night, haunted by the singing and the images of people dancing in her head. She wondered whether this was just an ordinary dream or a warning from the dark past of this house. Unanswered questions circled in her mind, preventing her from finding peace in the darkness. One day, as Hannah was hanging clothes under the faint sunlight, she suddenly felt like someone was watching her. She looked up and saw two figures on the second floor, a woman and a child, both dressed in white, silently staring down at her. Her heart pounded, a mixture of surprise and fear overcoming her. Thinking someone had broken in, Hannah immediately dropped the laundry and rushed upstairs. Her hurried footsteps echoed through the quiet house, each sound plunging her deeper into a strange and eerie atmosphere. When she reached the second floor, she found no one. The hallway was empty, the doors closed, and the cold air seemed to envelop everything. Her heart raced as she scanned the rooms, but there was no trace of the mother and child she had just seen. Hannah ran back to the middle of the hallway, her eyes warily sweeping over every dark corner, every old painting hanging on the wall as though they were watching her. She tried to take a deep breath, reassuring herself that it might have been just a hallucination. But deep down, the fear refused to leave. Determined to uncover the truth, Hannah decided to visit the library to research the house's history and gather material for her upcoming article. Stepping into the silent library, where rows of dusty old books held stories of the past, she felt as though she was entering a space heavy with mystery. The dim light from the ceiling lamps created an atmosphere of solemnity and intrigue. She began sifting through the old bookshelves, where forgotten books lay silently, holding secrets and histories few knew about. After a while, Hannah found a section filled with local historical documents. She pulled out a few books, the yellowed pages and musty smell making her feel as though she was opening a door to a distant past. Sitting in a quiet corner, Hannah began reading the old documents, each word painting a grim picture of the land she was living on. According to the documents, the land had existed for a long time and had been the site of many horrific and bloody events. No one dared to live there until a pianist came along. She found an article about the pianist, the first person brave enough to live on the land after it had been abandoned for decades. However, the article also detailed the strange and terrifying things the pianist experienced and the tragic end that befell him and his family. Hannah felt the horror in every word, as if those events were still present, haunting every page of the book. The more she read, the more dark secrets about the land she uncovered. There were stories of evil rituals, restless spirits, and an evil sorcerer who once lived there, sacrificing local people to a dark god in exchange for power and immortality. Hannah's heart raced as she felt she was touching secrets that no one wanted to speak of. Sitting amid the dusty and moldy documents, Hannah felt as though she was being drawn into a labyrinth of the land's dark past. The horrifying stories and gruesome events gradually connected, forming a complete picture of the haunting and terror that had plagued anyone daring to set foot on the land. She knew that, to unravel these mysteries, she would have to face things beyond her imagination. That night, Hannah returned home, the unease never leaving her. The house was quiet in the darkness, the creaking of the wooden floor and the faint rustle of wind outside the window only adding to the eerie atmosphere. She drifted into a sleep in a half-dazed state, haunted by the stories she had read and the terrifying images flashing through her mind. In her dream, A woman in a white dress appeared before her. The woman had empty eyes, a pale face, and disheveled long hair. She approached Hannah, gliding through the air without making a sound. Hannah felt a chill run down her spine. She wanted to move, but her body felt frozen, and she could only stare at the woman. The woman began to speak, her voice echoing from some distant realm, each word like a sharp blade cutting into Hannah's mind. She told the story of her husband, the pianist, and the reason he bought the house. Before buying the house, the pianist had suffered a horrific accident that completely ruined his right hand, despite his career being on the verge of a great rise. He fell into despair, and in his darkest moment, he followed the advice of a broker and purchased this land at a dirt cheap price. After moving in, he found an ancient book that described worshiping a dark god to bring luck and restore what was lost. However, in exchange for that luck, he had to sacrifice the most important person in his life. Hannah saw the pain and torment in the woman's hollow eyes, sensing the terror and haunting experiences she had endured. The woman continued to reveal the origins of the land. It had once belonged to a wicked sorcerer who specialized in sacrificing locals to the dark god in exchange for power and immortality. His crimes didn't end there. Even after being burned to death by the villagers, his evil soul persisted, possessing others' bodies to continue performing dark rituals. To maintain his power and immortality, he had to lure more people to the land and sacrifice them to the dark god. Hannah felt as if she were being pulled deeper into the story, each word dragging her further into a nightmare from which there was no escape. The woman's hazy figure vanished, replaced by images of bloody rituals, screams, and the wailing of sacrificed souls. She saw the pianist, his eyes filled with despair, his right hand ruined, standing before the dark god's altar, performing the ritual with indescribable pain. The dream ended with the image of the pianist on his knees, tears streaming down his face as he realized that, in exchange for his recovery, he had sacrificed his beloved wife and son. Hannah woke up, cold sweat pouring down her forehead, her heart racing. What she had just experienced wasn't just a dream, but a horrifying truth about the dark past of the house. She felt herself being drawn into a spiral of haunting, where reality and nightmare blurred, inseparable. Throughout the next day, Hannah couldn't focus on her work. The gruesome images from her dream kept replaying in her mind, haunting every moment. She tried to search for more information about the house, rummaging through old documents, but nothing could ease the fear closing in around her.